Welcome aboard the 4 to 7 pod with Chris and Jerry, part of the Ascension Podcast Network. The New York Yankees have won the wild card round against the Boston Red Sox in 3 games, just as I predicted. We did lose the crochet game, so I got that part wrong, but the Yankees advance. So peace out, Boston. It was nice to know you, and we'll see you. We'll see you next year. I'm sure you'll be a problem for. I'm sure you guys will be a problem for years to come, but you're not our problem anymore. So enjoy the off season, and as Cam Schlittler said, get ready. You should probably get ready for some Bruins hockey. But
pack out.
But yeah, it was very it was a pretty fun, exciting series. The Yankees took a they take an early 1-0 lead in the first game, and then they took Fried out. Some might say prematurely after 6 1/3 innings. The Red Sox obviously let Crochet go a little longer. You got the home run from Anthony Volpe, and then they go to Weaver, and that's where the game kind of they go to Weaver in the 7th after they took Fried out, and that's kind of where the game where that game fell apart, which obviously pushed the Yankees to the brink, and probably the most exciting game of the 3 if you're just a baseball fan tuning in without a horse in the race. I'd say game 2 was probably like the most exciting game to watch. You had the early home run from Ben Rice, and then Trevor Story answers with a home run of his own. It was a 3-3 game in the 6th, and then I forget when exactly it happened, but the Red Sox had runners on first and second, and then Jazz makes that diving. I think it was in the 6th or 7th inning of that game where Jazz made that diving. Yeah, that was in the 7th inning where Jazz made that. He made the diving play to stop the ball from going to the outfield. He was unable to like make the out at first, but that did make it that made it bases loaded instead of that runner scoring. If he allows that run to score, it probably that probably ends that series. And we're probably having a much different conversation right now. And then, of course, in the bottom of the 8th, Jazz has the score from first to third base, or from first to home on a Austin Wells single that ricocheted off the right field wall. And then Bednar comes in, locks down that game. And then game 3.
That should quiet the Jazz haters for it. Like, I mean, I know Cam Schlittler obviously should get the credit for doing what he did, but he never gets that opportunity if Jazz doesn't go out there and win that on his own.
100%. Yeah. And Jazz was benched in game 1. Well, he came off the bench, but basically in game 1, Boone was sitting all the lefties, which to an extent understandable because of how good Crochet is and how good he is against lefties. I was a little nervous that they were going to kind of do the same thing, when they were facing Connolly early in game 3 because he was a lefty, but I'm glad that they recognized, like, hey, this is a lefty, but it's not. And he's had a decent first season, but this is not Garrett Crochet. Like, so we gotta, it's an elimination game and we gotta play our best 9. So I'm glad that they did that. And obviously Jazz didn't really, Jazz was visibly not happy about, having to come off the bench in game 1. He answered questions with his back turned to the reporters after that game. But he said he played some MLB The Show afterwards. Mercy ruled some noobs, and he was ready to go. So obviously he was able to get his anger out, and it definitely, he definitely played some pretty inspired ball there in game 2, and then game 3. Not sure how much more you can sum it up other than just saying Cam fucking Schlittler. He put on He put on his big boy pants and gave us 8 shutout innings, 12 strikeouts, 0 walks, gave up 5 hits. He said that he grew up in Boston and his family was Red Sox fans. Basically up until he became a Yankee, but now they're Yankee fans, and there are some people who are being weird about that, like Jared Carabas being like, "Oh, you don't just switch teams because your family member." It's like, dude, if I have a kid and he plays for, if I have a kid, I'm rooting for whatever team he's on. Like, I don't know why that's so difficult to understand. Like,
yeah, that kind of supersedes everything, man. I don't know what to tell you.
yeah, like God
You
willing, if I have a
literally
kid
made
and
him.
he's in Major League Baseball, I would I'd be hard pressed to not root for the Red Sox if my kid ended up on the Red Sox.
I mean, like I've heard cases of this happening where it's like, kid grows up for rooting for one team, gets drafted by the rival, and the dad's still like, yeah, guess what? Nope. I think I remember Barry Sanders like famously went to Oklahoma State, and his dad would still watch Oklahoma games because he was an Oklahoma fan. It's like that's real hating.
Yeah. Funny enough, there was kind of an example of this in the Jets game against the Dolphins this past week. Jason Taylor's son, Mason Taylor, is a tight end for the Jets.
Yeah.
And they the camera pans to Jason Taylor, and he's like in his suite or whatever, and he's wearing his Hall of Fame jacket. I was like, okay, he's being neutral because he doesn't want to root against his kid, but he also doesn't want to root for the Jets because he's like a lifelong Miami Dolphin. Aside from that,
hold on, didn't Jason Taylor play for the Jets at the end?
He did, yeah. He played for the Jets for one season, and then he went back to Miami, and then he retired.
So it's like you kind of like you didn't think you were too good to not sign with them, and then your kid like I kind of like the idea of, well, I know everyone's going to be looking to see who I'm supporting. Guess what? I'm
supporting me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I respected that. I respected that move. I felt like it was kind of an alpha move on his part.
Personally, I like that more than the half and half jersey.
The half and half jersey is a sin and a crime against humanity, especially if it were a half Yankee, half Red Sox jersey. That's like
I would much rather you
jail
respect.
Time.
I would much rather respect if you just did jersey of one, hat of another. Like, no, look, I'm here for both of them.
Yeah.
Who am I supporting? Both.
Yeah. Who am I rooting for? Yes.
Yeah.
Are you rooting for the Yankees or the Red Sox? Yes.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, Cam Schlittler, pretty much established his place in Yankees lore with that start, especially if we see where seeing where this season ends up going. If we can keep this going, that'll definitely will definitely be remembered from that. And that's already like one of the best postseason starts in Yankee history. And it's huge because he pretty much gave the whole bullpen aside from Bednar the night off.
And you got Bednar for this. So
yeah. And you got Bednar for this. He went 3 nights in a row, but now we got today off. It's Friday as we are recording this. Might still be Friday by the time you're watching this, or it'll be either late Friday night or early Saturday, most likely. And we'll be getting ready for the ALDS and a series against Toronto. But I mean, considering like how much the bullpen had to considering like how much you had to get out of your bullpen in the first in the first 2 games. You had Fernando Cruz. I think Fernando Cruz pitched both of those games, if I'm not mistaken. Devin Williams pitched in game 2 as well. I mean, so our bullpen should be fairly well rested. But Cam Schlittler going those 8 innings definitely makes it huge, especially because for game one, I don't think the Yankees have announced who the starter is going to be yet. But for game one, it's I think they're deciding between either Will Warren or Luis Gil. So you figure whoever it is out of the two, Fernando Cruz, Devin Williams, and Tim Hill like all pitched in game one too. So you figure whichever one it ends up being, I would personally probably lean towards Gil over Warren because he at least has that postseason experience from last year. But so I'm not sure which direction they're going to lean in, but like either way, you probably figure that the leash for them is going to be obviously a little shorter than the leash you would have for Fried or Rodon or even at this point Schlittler. So you put yourself in a good position where if you have to go to your bullpen early in game one, it's still something that'll be manageable and not necessarily like kill the series for you.
I guess my bigger question is, at least as far as it looks like the rotation is set up to be right now, is Max Fried will pitch game 2. And
yeah, that'll put him on normal rest.
And there's a day off between games 4 and 5. So I would have to think if you go to game 5, Fried would be on 4 days rest. So he absolutely is your game 5 starter where hey, look, season on the line, got normal rest. This is exactly what we got Max Fried for, was to pitch these kind of games. It would be on the road. I would have to think that's the call, right?
Yeah, I would think so. So yeah, either Gil or Warren, maybe even, maybe we could even do the Mets piggyback thing with Gil and Warren game 1. Not really. I'd probably just go Gil personally, but yeah, Gil or Warren game 1, Fried game 2, Rodon game 3, Schlittler game 4. And then if you need Fried for game 5, he would be on, I think he'd be on normal rest or 4 days rest. So, well, it depends how you count the rest, because I mean Sunday to Friday is 5 days. So that I think he would be on normal rest technically.
Yeah, he would have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off. So
Yeah, so Fried would definitely, I think Fried would definitely be the game 5 starter. I'd be shocked if they decided otherwise.
Interestingly enough, the only J starter listed right now is Kevin Gausman. That's it.
And that's for I assume that's for game 1.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize Barrios was out. That's big.
Yeah. I would assume it's probably going to be, Kevin Gausman game 1. MLB.com says it's Luis Gil. I don't know if the Yankees made an official announcement yet. I didn't see anything, but last I heard they were deciding between the two.
So also apparently Chris Bassett's on the IL. I didn't know that either. So the other healthy starters are Shane Bieber, who hard to really say because he just came back. So I don't even know how many starts he's made. He's made 7 starts since he got traded to Toronto.
Yeah, and didn't he not pitch for a couple of years before that?
What?
Wasn't he not pitching for didn't he not pitch for a couple of years before that, or wasn't he hurt for a while?
He made 2 starts at the beginning of 2024, and then he got Tommy John. And I think he came back maybe 2 weeks after Cleveland traded him. So, I mean, I will say 7 starts is still technically a small sample size, but that's better than 2. And the other one is the rookie, Trey Savage. And also Max Scherzer, but it's Max Scherzer in a big game. So
yeah, that's probably I would be looking forward to seeing playoff Scherzer, and after doing a quick Google search, it looks like the Yankees did in fact announce Luis Gil will be the game 1 starter. I fell asleep for a couple of hours this evening / afternoon, so I guess I missed that bit.
I also had not seen that that particular
But
information.
I'm glad they're thinking on, I'm glad they're thinking on the same wavelength as me. And, I think that gives you the flexibility to kind of move Will Warren into a long relief type of role if if that ever becomes necessary at any point.
Kind of be what David Peterson was for us last year.
Yeah.
It's like if you absolutely need 4 innings, he can do that.
Yeah, so you said Bassett's out, he's hurt. Well, Berrios is hurt too, right?
Yeah, that's pretty big because
That is pretty big.
at the
Yeah,
very
I
least,
knew that
one of those two start, probably both.
Yeah, so that kind of leaves everything. Yeah, that kind of leaves everything up in the air for the Blue Jays. So yeah, I mean, game one might be a little tough. We might be in a little bit of a disadvantage, going into game one with Heel versus their ace and Kevin Gausman. But after that, I mean, it doesn't seem like they really know who they're going to be rolling with or like what viable options they really have. So, I mean, you're looking at Scherzer, who's notoriously not good in the playoffs. Obviously, you've had your experiences with that. No need to rehash. You have Shane Bieber, who hasn't really pitched a meaningful game in years. And
I want to see Shane Bieber's postseason numbers too, because I know he was with Cleveland long enough that he was still like a meaningful part of that team when they were in playoff series. Let's see if I can find that. So
I know he definitely, because I mean, Cleveland is pretty much in the playoffs.
So he pitched against the Yankees in the 2022 playoffs. It was the game that Cleveland won in 10 innings in the Bronx. He threw 5 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts on 101 pitches. I'm assuming he pitched in that wild card series in 2020. He did. Y'all bombed him that night. 7 runs on 4 2/3 innings. 9 hits, 2 of them home runs.
Wait, is this 2022 you're talking about?
No, the one where you guys bombed him was 2020. The 2022 start, he kind of did well. And they won that game. And I don't he did not pitch in the playoffs in 2018. So yeah, his postseason resume is kind of sparse.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. So I would definitely, I definitely wouldn't mind seeing him.
And Trey Savage was, I believe, drafted last year, and he was a big pitching prospect for them. He's made 3 starts. He threw 5 innings of one. He's faced the Rays twice, and he's given up 1 run in 10 innings against them. And he gave up 4 runs in 4 innings against the Royals, although they won that game. So, kind of hard to say.
Yeah. Also, from what I am seeing, it looks like Chris Bassett will be available for the ALDS. So
I've also seen him in the postseason.
Yeah. So it looks like, so it does look like we will see him. Looking at the Blue Jays projected bullpen for this series as well, there's really no names there that scare me. And I mean, I'm looking at Sir Anthony Dominguez, and I'm like,
you should be.
Food.
It should not be intimidated in the least.
Yeah, and I think what was also one Jeff thing, Hoffman, and I know that
I've
we
seen
hate
Jeff Hoffman in the postseason. Should not be afraid of him either.
Yeah, and I know that I know we don't like the term. I know we don't like the term guards ball around here. I know that's generated a little bit of a controversy in the Discord. But I will say one thing that was encouraging about this past series is the Yankees. Now, obviously, I'm hoping that the power starts to come, because I mean, you really just had the Ben Rice home run in game 2 and the Volpe home run in game 1. They didn't hit any home runs in the clincher yesterday. They kind of small balled their way to that victory. But I feel like the one knock on the Yankees has always been like that they're too reliant on the home run, and that and that they don't play any small ball. So I would say that it's encouraging to see that they were at least. I'd prefer hit home runs and outslug your opponent, because more often than not, the team that does that in a playoff series is the team that moves on. But it is encouraging to know that they can small ball their way to wins if necessary.
Oh, there's something to be said for in the postseason. If a team's going to give you extra outs, cash in. So
yeah, you got to take it.
It would be infuriating if you didn't. So I always say they don't ask how, they ask did you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean for all the talk of like Alex Cora being this great manager and how he's always out managing Boone anytime they play each other. I feel like Boone kind of flipped the script in those last 2 games. I mean, I feel like Alex Cora was kind of in game 2. I feel like Alex Cora was kind of treating it like an elimination game, and kind of got into a chess match with himself. Like he took Brian Bello out after 2 or 3 innings in that game, and he had only thrown I think he had only thrown 28 pitches or something like that when he got taken out.
I wouldn't say he was shoving, but I also didn't think he was about to come off the rails either.
Yeah, he wasn't doing bad, and historically the Yankees have struggled pretty badly against Brian Bello.
And it was weird that he was so quick to pull him, and yet when Whitlock was absolutely against the ropes in a spot
Whitlock was gassed. He had thrown 50 pitches and he left him in there. So that didn't really make sense. And I was listening to the Locked On Yankees pod yesterday before the game, and one of the hosts brought up a good point that maybe that Cora might have been taking Bello out to try to get a reactionary move from Boone to try and get Boone to unnecessarily get into a little chess match of managerial decisions with him. But I'm glad that he didn't, I'm glad that for once, he didn't blink, and he just let things play out. And I think it was an interesting decision that he took Fried out when he was shoving, and he let Carlos Rodon talk him into staying in the game when he didn't have his best stuff. Luckily that didn't come back to bite us. But I did find that to be, a little interesting. Luckily it didn't, luckily no harm, no foul. But overall, I'd say that, and then, that put us into such an advantage going into game 3, because all you had to do was get to Connolly early and often, and we were in control.
It's just so weird to me that he had that quick hook for Bello, and yet when you absolutely have to have the quick hook in the 8th inning, where one more run for you and you win the series, one more run for them and you've possibly given them another life, he let Whitlock stay in there. When I get, maybe you don't want to go to Aroldis Chapman there. You want to give him the ball with a chance to close out the series. But again, it's everything in the playoffs is about right now. You can't worry about possibly giving him a save in the 12th inning or the 13th or whatever. It's you got to stop this game right now.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Chapman got a 4-out save in game 1.
He did.
So I would, he's been one of the best relievers in baseball this whole year, and obviously he's had his postseason meltdowns. But I would have, if it was me, I probably would have went to him a lot sooner than he did.
Or at least take out the guy that very clearly is fading and isn't.
Yeah,
I know Whitlock started, so it's not like this was uncharted territory for him. But as a reliever, that's what he's been. So his body's probably used to, okay, I'm going to throw maybe 30. If this gets really ugly, it's 30. But like you said, he was at 50, and that's, I generally try to avoid asterisk talk in general, but it is interesting that since 2018, Alex Cora's won one playoff series.
Yeah, he doesn't have those Apple Watches anymore.
Like everyone always talked about, you got to appreciate the work he's done.
You know what I think it is I think with Alex Cora, because the Red Sox have, ever since that 2018 team, and I don't want to discredit them because like that was just like a really fucking good team. I don't think anyone was beating them. And they probably didn't even need to use the Apple Watches to win that. But what do you call it? I think like ever since then, like, they trade Mookie Betts and they kind of dissolve their team, because that tends to be what the Red Sox do after they win a World Series, is they kind of dissolve their teams. Like the Red Sox are a team, it's like they'll spend money, they'll win, and then they'll be like, all right, like instead of trying to like build on this, let's sell off and like recoup our assets.
They're always playing 95 dimensional chess in their own head. It's like,
yeah,
you cash
so
in
I
now.
think ever since then, like the Red Sox didn't really have a face of the franchise. And then like 2020 comes about, the Astros scandal and all that comes out. Cora was on the Astros coaching staff in 2017. So he lost his job for like a year or two. And then I think like when he came back, like the Boston roster, I mean, they had Devers, but aside from that Boston roster when he came back was pretty barren. They never really had like a player that was the face of the franchise. So like Cora kind of became the face of the Red Sox. Like,
true.
If you ask Yankee fans, like during, I'd say like if you ask Yankee fans, like, over the past like 3 or 4 years, like who on the Red Sox do you hate the most? Like a lot of them would probably say Alex Cora, because he's kind of the face of that team.
And it's weird that doesn't, like, I'm trying to think of like the last like manager that I hated. Like, it's probably Bobby Cox. Like, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, La Russa sort of, but I mean, like Brian Snicker just stepped out. Like, I didn't hate him.
I don't like I definitely don't like Kevin Cash, the Rays manager. I don't even know if he's still their manager, but
he still is. He's there.
Yeah. Never liked him, never will, especially after he said because I think after that whole thing with Chapman a few years ago, he's like, "Oh, we got a whole stable of guys who could throw 99 miles an hour." It's like, okay, like if you want fucking war, like say less.
Speaking of managers, a little bit of breaking news here. Rangers have promoted Skip Schumacher.
Oh, this just happened right now?
Like as we've gone on air.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's been some chatter about that. He's basically been like a special assistant of some kind ever since the Marlins didn't renew his contract. So everyone's like, well, if Bochy just decides he doesn't want to do this anymore, they've got a guy. And I think Bochy's staying on with Texas, like in an advisory type thing. Bochy's up there in age. Like he probably just doesn't want to do the travel anymore. So
did they fire him, or did he like step down?
I think I want to say Bochy retired. I believe
retired. They probably.
He's got to be.
Maybe they asked 70s.
him. He was managing the Padres in the 90s, and that's. Not even just like the 98 team, like before that. Bruce Bochy turned 70 this year. He the junior college that he went to is also the one that I went to. He grew up where I live. He went to Melbourne High School, and then he went to Brevard Community College, and the baseball field's named after him. Bruce Bochy. So
everything seems to tie back to Melbourne, Florida.
Oh, here's another one. Clint Hurdle is from around here. He's still down here plenty in the off season.
Oh, no shit.
He grew up here.
Bring back Clint.
I don't hate that. if nothing else,
the Pirates actually extended their interim manager.
Donnie Baseball. Some
Yeah.
say. It's my friend Tyler is a Tiger fan. He's always called Don Kelly that. So
yeah, yeah, Donnie Baseball
I'm about to get
2.0.
Let me see. How long was the? After the season, the Rangers announced that Bochy would not return. But I wonder if he was just like, I don't know if I've got it in me. Like, and if he's 70 and he's won 4 rings, like he's going in the Hall. I mean, like he was going in even before he won.
Even before he won with Texas, that was just like the cherry on top.
Yeah, like what else is there?
Yeah, yeah. No, I think Schumacher seems like a good choice. He was the NL Manager of the Year 2 years before that.
And if he had been with a serious team, he probably still has that job right now. But
yeah, but alas, the Marlins are deeply, deeply unserious.
I will take back none of those accusations.
Yeah.
I know my team sucks. So do they.
Yeah. Or at least they should know.
In the words of Christopher Wallace, I was taught to stay low and keep firing.
Facts. Something Jude would know nothing about.
Anywho, in the Discord, I can't believe it.
Anywho,
behavior.
And also, I think I think Aaron Judge quietly had a pretty good wild card series.
I was going to ask, like, does that? I know they were all singles, but is it one of those like, I just want to see him do something?
Like, I mean, I'll take that over. I'll take that over striking out like 12 times.
Fair enough. I was kind of wondering what the general feeling was.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I think like the allegations are still out there for Judge, but I think this was a I think all in all this was a good this was a good series for him. And I think he has a serious chance to build on it. He didn't have he didn't have that signature moment, and it wasn't like we didn't really win because of Judge, but definitely an improvement from what we've seen in previous October. So I will not complain.
I also think you can't be, we've talked about this before about like people are weird about what his legacy will be. And I've always thought that it's stupid to discuss legacy for an active athlete because your legacy really isn't built until after you're done. And
yeah,
Van Pelt once said it best. No one has a legacy that's playing. You have a reputation. Reputations can change. And you can't be the Yankee superstar that got knocked out by Boston 3 times. Like, there's no one else in Yankee. Like, there's no one from that 04 team that bleeds over to 18, that bleeds into 21. Like, that, you couldn't have that and it not go well for you in those three meetings. I mean, I realize the wild card's one game, but, this is like I've said, like, we measure the Yankees differently. Like this is where you write your history. And
yeah,
if you're the guy that got knocked out by your blood rival 3 times in 3 attempts, yeah, that's hard to live down. So he didn't prevent it.
Yeah. I also have to eat some crow because I said that because I said before the series started that, because remember, Jazz got hit by that pitch in the second to last game of the regular season. And it was like, oh, is he going to be okay? And at first I thought that might've been the reason why he wasn't in the starting lineup for game 1 was like, that they were like trying to play it safe with an injury. But the reason I was saying that was because like, I was like, oh, we can't have Jose Caballero or Ahmed Rosario needing to play second base because like, we need Jose Caballero to play shortstop because Anthony Volpe cannot see the field. But Anthony Volpe did a pretty damn good job this series. He had the home run. He had a few other timely hits. I think Kevin tweeted that maybe Anthony Volpe is like an 11-game type of player. Um,
Hard to shake that after the World Series last year. That's like
that is true. That is true. It's hard to shake those allegations in one series. But for at least this series, I will eat crow. Anthony Volpe did a very good job. He also had he also had some very nice defensive plays. There were a few times where, the ball was either thrown or hit to Volpe, and I'm like, we talked about it on the last episode how, when you're that type of player, the game will find you no matter how hard you try to hide someone. The game finds them, and the game found Volpe on multiple occasions in the field, and he pretty much answered every one. He had he turned a few nice he turned a few nice double plays, or there was even one play I think in yesterday's game where they were trying to turn two, and Jazz had like a bit of a funky throw over to him, and he didn't turn the two, but he at least caught it. He at least caught it to make the one out at second that you really needed. There was another one where he did turn two, and then the one that really stands out to me is in game two when Devin Williams was in, which was a very very uncomfortable situation for me. But
happy anniversary to those who celebrate, by the way.
What's that?
Happy anniversary to those who celebrate.
Oh yes, happy anniversary indeed. Good thing we're off today.
Good thing no, not a good thing I'm off today.
Yeah. Well, good thing that Devin Williams doesn't have to pitch today of all days.
Yeah.
But yeah, in that eighth inning, Devin Williams, it was like a bouncer that got hit back to him, and he threw it to second, and it looked like he was airmailing it to center field. But to Volpe's credit, he jumps up, he comes down, and I'm pretty sure he turned two on that play. So yeah, no, I was definitely impressed with him, and I was definitely impressed with him in this series. And people love content creators, podcasters, Twitter users, or internet sports fans, whatever we are, we love to take our victory laps when we're right about things, but I'm just as happy to eat crow when I'm wrong, especially if it's I'm especially happy to eat crow when it's like I'm wrong about one of my own. So kudos to you, Anthony Volpe. And please just keep it up. Don't make me look stupid now.
This is where,
or make me even look even stupider, depending how you want to spin it.
You could change stuff, within a postseason. We talk about reputation stuff. Like, nobody remember. Like, part of the lore of Pete hitting that home run last year was he had a very bad season. He'd had a very bad series up until that moment.
Oh yeah,
none of that matters. Before Robin Ventura hit the grand slam single, I think he'd been like one for the series to that point.
Yeah,
he remembers that because he hit that. That's what matters. When it's all on the table, like, are you gonna go take it?
Yeah, or when last year when Johnny's Noel came into that game, I think he was hitting 93 for the season, like .093. And
I'll continue to
it didn't matter because we still won the series in 5, but he had that moment, and Cleveland fans will always remember him for that.
If you had told me before the World Series last year, Freddie Freeman is about to go supernova, him? You sure?
Yeah. Yeah, because he wasn't hitting against the Mets.
I left the Wikipedia open for Bruce Bochy. I feel compelled to share this because this is the kind of thing we would have on our show. He is known for having one of the largest cap sizes in Major League history. With Houston, his nickname was Headley due to his unusually large head with a hat size measurement of 8 1/8. When he joined,
I didn't know they made hats that big.
Oh yeah,
unless they custom made one just for him.
When he joined the Mets in 1982, they did not have a helmet that would fit him, and they had to send for the ones he was using in the minors.
Damn.
It's weird. I look at him on TV, and I wouldn't think, wow, he has a big fucking head. There's some guys you see on TV, and you're like, yeah, that guy's noggin's massive. I just see Bruce Bochy enough that it's just no, it's Bruce Bochy.
Yeah,
I guess
you
you can
don't
walk by
realize
him at first and be like, wow.
they were calling him Chase Headley.
before Headley existed.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that had to be a bit from like Blazing Saddles or something. Headley.
That's pretty good. Should we shall we predict these AL and NL division series, and then we can get to some of the latest news in Mets land?
We sure can.
All right, let's do it. We'll save Yankees Blue Jays for the last, but we can just run through the other ones real quick. So Cubs Brewers. This is a tough one.
Like everything says, people have been saying this basically since the Brewers had that 14-game winning streak, that it's like this just screams team that goes out in the first round or the division series.
Yeah.
And
just everything about their history too.
And their recent history at that.
Yeah.
I want to believe it, but I think if the Cubs had played a team with a little more thump, because for all the hype the Padres get, it's Tatis and Machado are going to do their thing, but with Jackson Merrill kind of taking a step back offensively this year, they just didn't feel as dangerous of a lineup as they usually are. I figured because the Cubs have lost Cade Horton that was going to throw their pitching all off, but the Cubs scratched out just enough to against a team whose offense took a giant step back this year, and I think that was enough.
Right, and Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado combined for like 2 hits the whole series.
Yeah, like that too. And I just, like I said, maybe I'll look stupid in a week. Like everything says, like the Brewers fade here. They've got a bunch of nice bats, but it's like you need that guy in the playoffs that can get you 3 runs with one swing. And Christian Yelich and Chourio, Yelich to a lesser extent, Chourio obviously to some extent, because we saw it last year in the playoffs, can do that. There's just so many guys on that team where it's, all right, let me see it. Like, I know Jackson Chourio is going to show up because I saw him do it. I know Yelich can hit in the playoffs. I've seen him do it.
Yeah.
The rest of that team, though, I'll say Brewers in 5, but I don't feel especially confident. Like, I think it's going 5, but I'm going to say the Brewers' situation is a little better than the Cubs at the moment. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, based on the pitching situation, I'm leaning towards the Brewers as well. I actually think the Brewers will win it in 4. I think that they will save their choking for the spoiler alert. I think they will save their choking for the NLCS.
And that won't make me happy either, because
regardless of who they play, someone you don't like is going to the World Series.
Yeah.
And then we got the other NL series, the two juggernaut NL teams. You got the Dodgers and the Phillies. This is starting in Philly tomorrow at 6:30.
With the softest 999 challenge you've ever seen in your life.
Oh God, yeah, the mini 999 challenge.
Petite beers, what are we doing?
Yeah, petite beers and fun size hot dogs. That's a
moon.
I think that's a bad I think that's a bad omen for the Phillies. Like, I'd expect better from Philadelphia. If you're doing, you're a city that prides yourself on being, being tough guys and being gritty and all that, but you're not gonna go all in for the 999 challenge in the playoffs. Like, I was actually gonna pick the Phillies to win this series, but now I'm kind of second guessing that.
I'm staying with the Phillies, if only because boy, have I seen bullpens that look like the Dodgers bullpen right now in the past, and I know how that ends.
Yeah.
Also,
I've seen Dodger bullpens that look like that.
Very sick that the one time the Dodgers had a bullpen was 2024. I love this fucking sport so much. It's great.
Oh yeah.
Hasn't been taking a hammer to my mental health for 40 years. No, I'm great.
Fantastic.
Just excellent.
Yeah. So they got you got Ohtani going against Christopher Sanchez in game 1. Yeah, I'd say Philly probably has the pitching advantage. Blake Snell's pitching game 2, and like he's had a good year, but and I mean he has pitched well in the playoffs, but I don't know. I feel like Blake Snell is someone who could also like get shelled at any given time.
Also, for being honest, that the lefty pitcher on the Phillies that you don't want to see in the playoffs is Ranger Suarez. Like he's actually good.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm the Dodgers with the left-handed hitters I have, I'd be worried.
Yeah. I'm going to
noted that in each of the last 3 years, the thing that's done in the Phillies is their bullpens, especially the last 2.
That is true.
I know they added Yohan Duran, but like Kimbrel kind of was the problem in 23, but like their setup guys didn't exactly help either. So, and they were the big reason last year. So worth watching there.
Yeah, it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. I will reluctantly say Dodgers in 5.
I'll say Phillies in 4 still. There's really no one in that bullpen that you really feel all that good about right now. Unless Sasaki's just going to be this guy, which that was impressive. But one guy when you're probably going to need 5 or 6, not going to cut it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough sledding. Yeah, that should definitely be an interesting series though. And then on the other side of the AL, we got the Detroit Tigers and the Seattle Mariners. The Detroit Tigers blew a 15-game lead, as we all know, to the Cleveland Guardians to
I called it
to lose out on the division, and then they gave it right back to them and took 2 out of 3 in the wild card to now find themselves moving on, and the Guardians going home.
Called it. Presume the unpredictable.
Yep. Yeah, no, you were. Yeah, you nailed that one. And I felt good about the Guardians' chances going into game 3 too. I was like, oh yeah, no, Guardians. I was like, because I figured Scuba would win game 1, and I was like, no, Guardians got this.
It sure seemed to me like the Guardians could have used one more guy who fields really well and also hits when the lights are on. I don't know where you find that guy though.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, this is an interesting series because I mean the Mariners finished this they finished the regular season pretty hot, but I do wonder if the week off, maybe, there's always the debate about, for the teams that get the first round bye, the rest versus rust debate. I do wonder in this scenario if it's more of, if it's more rust to shake off than, being well rested for them. And especially now, like with the Tigers kind of finding their, refinding their mojo a little bit against the Guardians, especially like the way they ended that series where they just blew it wide open in game 3. Like kind of feels like the Tigers have, a little more momentum going into it. And from the looks of it, Skubal is going to pitch game 2. Castillo is also pitching game 2 for the Mariners. The game 1 matchup looks like it's going to be Melton versus George Kirby.
I got to think that's a bullpen game but to the Tigers' credit, we have seen this. We saw it last year with the Tigers. AJ Hinch just really seems to know what he's doing. I mean, I think he enjoys this more than when he was with the Astros, which, all of that aside, he had a more traditional team with the Astros. So he only had to make but so many moves in a playoff game. You could just let your talent go do what they do.
Yeah.
There is talent on this Tigers team, but he really has to constantly be moving stuff around where, I mean, really, it does feel like last year it was Skubal and 3 bullpen games. And he's probably going to have to do that again this year, where Reese Olson's out. Jack Flaherty can start, but it's like if you get 5 innings out of Jack Flaherty, you're gold. So
yeah,
you're always thinking about
that.
when's the hook. And he always deploys the platoons really well. I mean, he executed that to perfection in the playoffs last year and seemed to do that pretty well here again. To me, it's the Tigers' biggest advantage because, yes, they do have the best pitcher in the American League in Skubal. You know, whether you think he's the best pitcher in baseball, like, that's another topic, but he's the best pitcher in this series.
Cam Schlittler's the best pitcher in baseball.
All right. You know, the whole bullpen thing, like, I do think Seattle has the better staff. They have the better 1 through 5. But Skubal's kind of the guy that you can just throw, hey, yeah, we got him, and it doesn't matter. But I do think Hinch has so much experience in terms of, well, if this happens, I'm doing this. And I know 3 batters down, I've got this. You know, we rip on managers for being a little galaxy brain sometimes. Hinch really kind of does have this down to a T. The only reason they lost last year was because he left his ace in there to try to get one more out. He just got beat. And hey, sometimes that happens. But
yeah, but like
2 series leading into that,
you can't argue with the logic.
Yeah, he was like you live and die with having Skubal on the mound. Like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But so far as Tigers manager in October, AJ Hinch almost always presses the right button.
Yeah, that's the thing about you know, the relevant Detroit teams right now. I mean, actually for Detroit sports, like I feel like Detroit sports like as a whole is like kind of on the come up. I mean, Tigers have been, you know, in the playoffs back-to-back years. Lions are doing their thing, and you know, Red Wings seem to be trending upwards, and the Pistons, you know, they definitely gave the Knicks problems in the playoffs too. So, you know, Detroit is, you know, Detroit sports are definitely on the come up, I would say. But for, you know, for specifically for the Tigers and the Lions, like, yeah, they've had their shortcomings these past couple of years, but like the one thing I'll give them credit for is like they die on their sword, like with their identity, you know,
Yeah.
like they lost that NFC Championship game, the Lions did, because like they kept going for it on 4th down and it just didn't work out. But that's who they are. That's what they do.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, they lost the ALDS to the Guardians last year because Skubal couldn't get that last out that they needed. But like, you know, you're telling me you would have decided, you know, you're telling me you would have decided to do something else. I don't know. But to me, this series is one of the so the way they have it set up, because Skubal's starting game 2. So if there is a game 5, you know, I'd have to imagine Skubal would definitely start that, unless the Tigers fall behind and they decide to start him, you know, in game 4 on 3 days rest. But assuming that that the plan is for Skubal to start games 2 and 5, this is one where I would say, to me, this is like either the Mariners win it in 4, but if it goes to game 5, the Tigers win. I'm going to say Tigers in 5, though.
It is interesting in that, you know, Brian Wu has been the Mariners' best starter this year, and he's not starting either of the first 2 games. And I think from what I've read, like, pretty much all of those guys have noticeable home road splits. And I don't think Wu's is the worst of the group, but it is interesting to me that on the road, like, by far, Wu has been their best. And it's a good rotation. Like I said, 1 through 5, Mariners have the better rotation by a lot. But you don't have your outright number 1 starting game 1 when you have the rest. I wonder if they're trying to set it up a certain way where it's, hey, look, we'd rather have Wu pitching at home if we've got a chance to either sweep the series or take it in 4. But it's just it's an interesting gamble that it's Kirby and Castillo. Kirby's had a decent year. I can see that a little bit. Castillo's been down a little. I guess when you have a rotation that's that good and you have the standards that they've set, like, you kind of have a little wiggle room to do this sort of thing. It just surprises me is all. I think I agree with you. If this gets to 5, Tarek Skubal's just kind of the one that just kind of overrides everything. And even if that game's in Seattle, like, that's, you pray to have a guy like that to pitch a game like that. I know he lost that game. Yeah, I know he lost it last year. I would trust him on his next shot if he got it.
Yeah. Like, and even then, like before that point, he had only given up like one run in that game 5 last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, it was 1-1 into the 6th. Like that's it wasn't like he got people
he
talking about
definitely
the
didn't
playoff
get
curse on
shelled.
stuff.
It was
wasn't
kind of
that.
just like he just made like one or two mistakes in that
Right.
last inning.
Yeah, it like guard's ball happened. Like it was a walk, it was a hit by pitch, like and then next thing you know, one swing of the bat and it's a 4-run game. Which Chris, did you see any posts yesterday about how we do things different here? We're not hyped. You don't know what. I didn't see any of that shit. Weird.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't see any of it.
Oh well.
Not entirely sure what you're referring to.
Wait, well, hold on. You guys don't remember when you guys were playing them in 22, where they're like, we do think it was like a whole big thing that like the Guardians official account was like, we do things different here. We take pride in taking the extra bait, and everyone just flamed it to hell.
Oh yeah, I vaguely do remember that. My biggest memory from that, I think it was, but my biggest memory from that 22 series, I forget if it was Bo or Josh. I think it was one of the Naylor brothers who did the cradle
it was Josh.
after he hit the home run, and then when we wrapped up the series, I think we wrapped up the series with like a 6-3 put out at second base. Or no, not 6-3, a 6-4 put out. And like Glaber caught the ball and he did the cradle back like as we won the series. That's probably my biggest memory from that. But I guess now that you mention it, I guess they were tweeting some bullshit like that about doing things differently or whatever. Like, oh, we run the bases, we do this, we do that. Well,
we work counts.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, your peak was your peak in recent memory was your peak in this decade was losing to us in 5 games in the ALCS. So I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, I'm gonna talk shit. Tigers in 5. And then last, certainly not least, got the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Now I do think the Yankees win this series. Whether it goes, I'm debating whether it goes 4 or 5. Because I do think we'll be a little bit behind the 8 ball in game 1. Like I'm not necessarily expecting to win game 1. But I do think the Yankees are capable of winning the next 3 after that with Fried, Rodon, and Schlittler. I'm sorry. To me, the X factor is like which Rodon shows up in game 3. Like if we get the same Rodon that we got in this series against the Red Sox, where he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't his best, then I think we might drop that game. And then we gotta rely on Schlittler and Fried for the next 2. If he's like, if he gets himself right and he shoves, then I could see it being Yankees in 4. But I think I'm gonna go Yankees in 5 just because we might be a little bit behind the 8 ball going into the series. And I think it might be, I think either way it might be hard to win 3 in a row after that. So I think Blue Jays take game 1, we take game 2. Blue Jays take game 3, and then we take the next 2.
I'm calling Yankees in 3. I said it on the last episode. This era of the Blue Jays, granted, they've turned a corner and they've came back from, when the Bautista, Encarnacion, Donaldson window ended, and they were kind of in the woods. They've came out of that.
The very talented
They've won 90 games a couple times, but every time they've been in a position to do something, they've immediately thrown up on themselves. I got to see it. And you're facing the Yankees, who are coming off beating their blood rival. They've got all the momentum in the world. They're going to line their rotation up the way they want it. You've got postseason Stanton. You've got everything to me says like the Yankees finally got that off their back too. Like they haven't shaken 2024 yet, but like you've won a postseason series. It's like, okay, we got the taste of last year. Like
you exercise the Red Sox demons.
Yeah,
like,
that too. Like that's
you haven't beaten them since the last time the Yankees beat the Red Sox in the playoff series was when Aaron Boone hit a walk-off home run. So you exercise those demons, and we looked a lot better against Toronto down the stretch than we did in the first when we were playing them at the beginning of July. So I'll take the way we're playing now over then. So yeah, I'd say we have the momentum going into it.
Everything about the Blue Jays' recent history says fraudulent to me. So
yeah,
Yankees in 3.
Let's do it. I hope you're right. Get us that sweep, man. That would be wonderful. But yeah, as long as we're the ones advancing, I'll be happy. All right, let's move on to the Mets for a little bit. Obviously they're not playing anymore, but there is still some news to discuss. They did do a little bit of house cleaning as far as changes to their coaching staff. Eric Chavez is gone. Jeremy Barnes is also gone. And they also fired Jeremy Hefner, their pitching coach.
And Mike Sarbon, his terrible sends and non-sends.
Yeah, they got rid of Mike Sarbon, and then their catching instructor Glenn Sherlock retired, and then John Gibbons, their bench coach, is also he's also getting fired.
Well, no, he apparently he left.
Okay.
He said he wants to keep coaching, but he was basically like, maybe it's better if they get new blood in here. Apparently, was what he said.
Yeah. He pieced out.
They kept
he wanted to be new blood somewhere else, maybe.
They kept the first base coach, which thank God. So
yeah, probably the only assistant worth keeping because he was, despite the Mets being so slow, they were able to steal so many bases, and Soto had the 40-40 season.
Well, it was just short, but yes.
Or he missed what he had. What was a 40-39 season?
It was like 42-38.
Yeah. And so Soto just missed 40-40, but Soto stole more bases than he basically ever has in his career.
We're gonna do off-season grades for our teams. I think the only Met that can say they were an A++ this year is Anton Richardson. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that all these moves make a lot of sense. The pitching lab this year kind of died, so no issues with moving on from Jeremy Hefner. Obviously, we've been very critical of Eric Chavez throughout the season, so that seemed like a no-brainer. Really should have been done sooner. Yeah,
also,
I mean,
I didn't realize he's been the pitching coach since before COVID.
So it was probably just time. Yeah, it was probably just time to get some new blood in there, regardless. But I think this season was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back for him. I mean, and we said last week, that the Mets would have been, it would have been justified for the Mets to fire Mendoza. But at the same time, if you're firing managers every 2 years, then that becomes a slippery slope as far as getting a good manager to actually want to come manage your team. So I think that if you weren't going to go full scorched earth and fire Mendoza, I think that the shakeups that they made today were probably the next best thing.
Well, and also now he gets to bring his own guys in because I mentioned Hefner's been the pitching coach since 2019. Barnes and Chavez came in with Buck. So Mendoza's I don't know if John Gibbons came in with Mendoza. I can't remember how long it's been, but hasn't had his own hitting coach, hasn't had his own pitching coach. I mean, that's for a first-time manager. pretty big. I mean, I'm sure he had to agree somewhat. Like, hey, are you okay keeping these guys? Like, I'm sure he had to sign off on that to some degree.
Right.
John Gibbons was hired in November 23, so he came in with Mendoza. So there's that. But I got to think, yeah, if you're Mendoza, you probably would, if it's your job on the line, like, yeah, you probably want your own guys in there. Now, he doesn't strike me as a guy who was going to throw them under the bus publicly. He's never been a guy that's pointed fingers, but this needed to be done, and I saw this going around a lot today. The Mets finished last in the league in walks, meaning that they were the worst team in the league in walks, pitching-wise, the last 2 years. It didn't catch up to them last year. It caught up to them this year. And, as I said at the time, I think being a team that wasn't aggressive in the zone as a staff caught up to them in the Dodger series in 2024. So each of the past 2 years, that's been their fatal flaw. And then hitting-wise, outside of 22, it's going to be so hard to explain to people that this offense this year, yeah, Soto was this close to 40-40. Lindor got 30-30 again. Pete hit 38. Nimmo had a good year. Alvarez revived his career. Brett Beatty revived his career. All that. And yet this offense could have done and should have done so much more. And it's the fact that they are not nearly as power hitting of a team as they should be with the talent they have. And the fact that this team consistently, to quote Brees Hall, shot itself in the head with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
That's when that keeps happening. The habits that have been ingrained to them that lead to those results, they've got to be coming from somewhere. If it's across the board happening to everybody, and I know it's the old line, well, you can't fire the players. And yeah, maybe that is true here, but if everyone seems to be doing the same thing that leads to the problem with runners in scoring position, then they've got to be hearing that from somewhere, because Juan Soto hasn't been like that his whole career. Lindor hasn't been like that his whole career. Nimmo, Alonso, all those, like that hasn't been them their whole career. All of a sudden this happens, and it just makes me wonder.
Yeah, like it seems obvious what the source of the problem is for that type of, for that lineup. And, especially the fact that obviously we've discussed too, like how the Mets have a very top heavy lineup and they didn't get much from their bottom half, but I do feel like their bottom half does still have guys that are like should be serviceable and should have been able to give you more down the stretch. So, I do have to think that, I do have to think that it's something that they're, something that's being taught or some sort of philosophy that led to, the results that they got. So, yeah, I think, I think they made the right moves there. I don't know is there anyone that you would want them to like hire for those roles? Like, do any names come to mind, or are you just kind of happy to get some new blood in there regardless?
Well, pitching coach wise, I'm not off the top of my head. I don't know who's available. Like I'd probably have to look for a little bit or maybe someone becomes available, which is always possible. But I do have a hitting coach candidate in mind, and that's Rick Warno. He's the hitting coach at Syracuse. He revived Alvarez and Beatty while they were down there, and
you were saying that in the last episode. Maybe you just bring up the Syracuse hitting coach to the big team.
And it's Rick Warno. So props to him for his work there this year. And I realized that Mark Vientos didn't have the greatest 2025, but when he got demoted last year to Syracuse and came back up, was a brand new hitter. So especially if you have a lot of young guys in their lineup, and mind you, we do expect at some point in 2026, Carson Bench is going to be a part of this lineup. Potentially Jet Williams or Ryan Clifford becomes part of that lineup. I've seen talk today where it's, does Ryan Clifford become the first baseman for the Mets? If, does Pete become a DH, or, what happens there? Does Ryan Clifford kind of quietly, because, there were so many other young guys that took up so much of the prospect oxygen, but Ryan Clifford, who was the other guy that the Mets got for Justin Verlander, quietly had a really good year too. We might see him next year. But if there's going to be so many of these young hitters, it's like, yeah, we know Soto, Lindor, Pete, no, like those guys know what they're doing. Like we need Alvarez, Beatty, Carson Bench, and we need those kids to hit too, or and potentially rehabilitate Vientos again. Why not bring up the guy that worked with him, that got a lot of good results out of him? I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, no, why not? Yeah, I think Vientos bounces back next year, especially with some new, some new voices and new philosophies in the room. I think that'll do him a lot of good. I think it'll do Alvarez a lot of good. Plus, having both of his arms working again. Speaking of
fingers.
having 10 working fingers. Speaking of Pete, you mentioned him. So Pete did announce after the season was over that he will be opting out of his contract. It does seem like he'll be back. That would be my guess. Is I kind of, because he really didn't have that much different of a season than he had. He had a better season than he had last year, but it's not like he broke out and was like a different player. Like he's still the same player, and now he's just another year older. So I don't really see the free agent market being that crazy for him. I could kind of see it playing out the same way it did last year. I mean, maybe with the better year, maybe there's a little bit more interest. But this will be his age 31 season. So I don't know who's really gonna commit like a long-term deal or long-term, super long-term money to him. There's been a lot of talks, I've heard some Mets fans say, "Oh, we better get him because if we don't, the Yankees will get him." But I don't know where Pete Alonso would really fit in on our 2026 squad. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we have our everyday first baseman in Ben Rice, and we have, unless you move Ben Rice to catcher, but I don't think you want to do that, because then that kind of stunts his career, because that's less, then if he's a full-time catcher, who's to say he's going to hit the same that he is now? And Austin Wells is, probably the better defensive catcher out of the two. It's nice that Ben Rice can catch too, but I don't think he should be the everyday catcher. And we have Giancarlo Stanton as our DH. So, and they're both right-handed hitters. So, I wouldn't see where Pete Alonso would fit into us. And,
plus, it's not like Austin Wells is Austin Hedges. Like, he hits enough that, it's like,
yeah.
would you like him to hit better? Sure. But is he a non-competitive at bat every time? No.
No, definitely not.
Plenty of teams would like to have that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I don't really, some people say maybe the Cubs. I don't know. They still got Michael Busch. So
yeah.
I'm not sure how much longer he's under team control for, but
well, he's one of those weird cases because he came up really late because the Dodgers could just never find a spot for him because he was a first baseman outfielder. So it was, where do we put him? But who are we benching for him? So yeah, Michael Busch turns 28 next month. He
has an arbitration year too. So
yeah.
he'll be back on the Cubs.
And given what he's done for the Cubs, it's one of those things where, hey, if we're getting this on a rookie deal, do we really want to be in a hurry to push him out the door? There's plenty of teams that would take that on what he's putting up on a rookie deal.
Yeah, and I know our boy Stefan is once again pushing the Pete Alonso to Tampa agenda, but they still need a roof for their stadium if they're going to be going back to the Trop.
Now, granted, the sale did go through this week, but also we got to see that let's see if this guy's different,
Yeah. There's nothing to base it off of other than thinking he might be different. But yeah, the Rays do have new ownership. So yeah, I just feel like there's so much in limbo with the Rays, as an organization, where are they playing next year? Where are they playing in the future? I feel like there's a lot on their plate as far as that goes, that number one, I don't think Pete would necessarily want to commit to playing there because, yeah, he is from Tampa or whatever, but like, does that really matter if they're going to be gone from Tampa in a couple of years?
That's a fair point. And I just wonder if, given the past 4 seasons here and the fact that, yeah, this year is whatever adjective you want to put, but this team went to game 162 with a chance to make the playoffs, and in 22 they get there. 24 obviously we all know about, and then this year again you're in it. And it's like, if you go to the Rays, yeah, you're going to be home, but do you know for sure that you're always going to be in it? It's one of those things where it's like the Rays should be set up with the way that they turn out prospects to be able to do this, but like we've just consistently seen, they're not interested in being able to retain those guys. Like when it's Junior Camaro's turn to get a contract, are they going to pay him? When Ryan Pepio comes up for a deal, are they going to pay him? Or are they going to be scared off by what happened the one time they gave one of these prospects a big deal? So yeah. I think that's got to matter too. It's, Pete's going to be 31. I believe he's 30 or 31 this year.
He's turning 31 in December, so next year will be his age 31 season for sure.
So if you're him, it's like, hey, yeah, you do want to get that payday, and I totally get that. But it's also
and this might be like his last chance.
Yeah, and it's
I just don't see the market really. I just don't see the market really like materializing for that.
And the other interesting thing, I guess, is, as far as this year, the pro with Pete was that this was the most complete I had seen him as a hitter until he got hit on the wrist. He was hitting well into the 300s. He was taking great at bats. He was drawing a ton more walks, and the power was still there. That was 2019 Pete. I always say everyone looks at the home runs, and sure, but when he first came up, that was a guy that was hitting 270 and was getting on base at a 360 clip and was taking walks and was getting, he was more than just a power hitter. Was he a complete hitter? No, but he was pretty close to it. That, like, you take a guy who's going to hit 40 to 50 home runs and draws a ton of walks. That's it. And he looked like that guy for the first, I call it 60 games, and then he got hit. And I don't think he was ever totally right after that. So you wonder if, did all those changes take, are we going to see that Pete again next year? And if he can avoid injury, what's a full season of that? At the same time, the defense question is legit. And it should be noted that almost all of David Stern's media availability this week, and I believe that was on Tuesday, he talked about pitching and defense getting fixed. And on the one hand, yes, he's probably the best first baseman in the league at getting picks and has probably saved a lot of guys a lot of errors with his pick work. I don't think gets enough credit for that.
Mm.
The rest of his defense, kind of a problem. And that's not one of those things that gets better as you get older.
It definitely doesn't. Although I think, like, if you're a below average defender at first base, it's probably easier to mask than, having deficiencies like in your other corner or middle of your infield.
And it's one of those things where he's not Adam Dunn bad, but it just feels like that whenever it does show up.
Or like Paul Konerko bad.
Well, it's like everyone points to what's the moment where it changed this year. It's when Senga got hurt, and it was because Pete couldn't make the toss made the toss, but it was a bad one. He's had more than a few of those. Now, fortunately, those haven't always resulted in injury, or even in 2024, when Senga got hurt that year, it was because they had a miscommunication on who was catching the fly ball, and he called it late, and Senga had to pull up, and that led to his injury last year. So it's, when we say defense, like it's not just making diving stops or it's a lot of things.
Yeah.
And if he's at this stage now, if you give him a 5 or 6 year deal, I know like you're trying to win a World Series right now, but defense matters too. And is that going to cost you a playoff series? So
yeah.
I think it's fair to put all of that on the table. If if he wants to stay here, but he wants that long-term deal, these questions have to be asked.
Yeah, no, I think it is a valid question as far as the defense, especially if they are, especially if that's what they're putting, the emphasis on, as far as their approach to improving the team in the offseason going into 2026. But at the same time, I mean, I think when push comes to shove, it's a matter of how are you if you don't bring Pete Alonso back, how are you replacing those 38 home runs?
Also that, which
So
is
I
very
think
fair.
ultimately, I think he will be back. I could see it being like a 3-year deal, unless some team like unexpectedly comes in and like blows him away with like a 5 or 6 year deal that he can't refuse. But like,
Angels.
again, I know he had a significantly better year this year than he did last year, but he is another year older and he's still the same player. So I don't really see the market. I don't see the market blowing up for him. I mean, it is a different market this year too. Like he'll be like one of the premier free agents this year. Like basically, like I think Kyle Tucker and like Kyle Tucker will probably be the best free agent this year unless the Cubs extend him. But aside from that, like Pete's probably like the second best free agent this year. So maybe more of a market materializes. But for me, ultimately, I think push comes to shove. I think that I think he wants to be a Met, and I think the Mets want him back. And I think that they'll, I'm sure they'll have their disagreements. And I know that last year it took forever and a day for them to finally re-sign him, but eventually they did get it done, because I remember they had like Mets Fest or like that winter party thing, and he still wasn't on the team, and people were asking Stearns questions about it. I think Cohen might have been asked questions about it too, and he was like, man, like this is
they
like
were
the
giving
toughest.
Stearns shit at that. Like
What's that?
Because they asked Stearns a question about that, and he basically tried to give a non-answer, and they kind of let him know.
They're like, hey man, how about you sign that guy?
Okay, that's a lot of words that aren't yes. Let's speed this up.
Yeah. So I do think he'll be back. Another one is so Edwin Diaz might opt out. Is that's potentially on the table?
Yeah, because essentially the difference was Pete did the Garrett Cole. Like it was. I don't think it was 30 minutes after Sunday's game ended that he said, "Yeah, I'm opting out." And I was like, oh, well, does that mean something that he said it this quickly? And Diaz essentially said, "I don't know yet. I got to talk to my family, but if I do, I'd like to be back." To me, I feel more confident that they keep Edwin. Not that I'm not confident that Pete comes back, but every indication Edwin gave when they asked him about it after Sunday, it sounded to me like he was saying, hey, look, I'll probably opt out because that's the business thing to do, not because I don't like it here. Not
right.
And the thing that was the big giveaway to me was he said, well, I want to be here. They've been great to my family. And that was the big thing, because you heard that a lot last offseason when they re-signed everybody. And it was the big thing with Soto.
Yeah.
Was the
family environment.
And I'm sure for Diaz, he's been here for 6 years now. Like he's went through a lot in his career. He's seen a lot of ups and downs. And I want to say he's been a Met now longer than he was a Mariner. So he's probably used to being here. And, yeah, people will talk about the money stuff, sure. And he should be paid accordingly, because in 2 of the last 3 seasons that he's been the Met closer when healthy, so obviously take 23 off the board, but 2022 and 25 are 2 of the best closer seasons I've ever seen out of a Met. Like, to me, it's right up there with any of healthy Billy Wagner seasons. Like, I've always said, I don't think he'll ever be as automatic as he was in 22. He was pretty close to it this year.
Yeah.
Like I said on Sunday, on the list of guys who are not at fault for what just happened, Edwin Diaz is pretty close to the top of the list.
Yeah. No, 100%. And he has been a Met far longer than he's been a Mariner now. He was only on the Mariners actually for 3 years before
Yeah.
The Robinson Cano
And,
Edwin
and
Diaz Jared Trout trade happened.
and for those who may not have seen it this week, the Braves outrighted Jared Kelenic. So he's a minor league free agent now.
Jared Trout, the one and only.
Hopefully our paths don't cross again on that front.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, there will never be a moment more terrifying than in game 161 last year than when Diaz came in and I realized, oh shit, he's facing Kelenic. Oh God. I was like, this is going 550. This is
Yeah.
And then that was the play where he didn't cover first. And when that didn't beat us, like, maybe we're free. Maybe this can't hurt us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think with Diaz, I think the whole I gotta talk to my family line, that to me seems more like agent speak more than anything.
I feel like these guys are pretty comfortable that if they said like, hey, I gotta talk to my people, or even when it said I want to talk to my agent, like I don't think he's nervous enough that he like if he was just gonna say that he would have said that. Because I'm sure it does mean something to his family to be like, hey, look, you want me to should I just finish this out or what do we want to do? Like, I'm sure for a family being in New York, like that's a big deal to move everything and be like, all right, well, we got to get used to a new place. We got to learn all this stuff again. Whereas you're situated, you know where you are. You've been here for 6 years. You're familiar with all that. So maybe it is. Maybe it was code for his agent. I just feel like if he wanted to say that, he would have.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's me being hopeful, but
when Cole opted out, he like opted right back in for I think the same contract. Like he basically opted back in. It wasn't even like a new contract as far as.
And that whole thing was weird because it was just like, why did they just do it immediately?
He was like, I'm opting out, but I'll be back. And then he was like, actually, I'll just opt in. I don't need more money.
Yeah.
But when I said that, but when I was saying that for Diaz that it was agent speak, I didn't mean it in like oh he's gone type of way. I meant more as like more of like a formality, like this is what I gotta say, like a negotiation tactic more or less. Because if you're like, oh yeah, like I want to be here so badly, then that could like hurt you in negotiations.
That's true.
Maybe.
Well, I mean that is all valid. I still think he has all the leverage regardless because it's again.
How are you replacing me if you're letting me walk?
That's my big thing is, you could say, hey, yeah, you should only give X amount of money to a closer. He's in his 30s now. Like, how far do you want to extend him? All of that's valid, but you know what you have with him. And there's a whole thing about being able to handle New York. Hell, we just watched a dude who has been an all MLB all-star closer come to New York and not handle it well whatsoever. Edwin Diaz went on the roller coaster for 3 years and got better. So
yeah,
to me, when I watch Diaz now, if he blows a save, it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe he doesn't have his command tonight. Okay, he didn't locate well or whatever. But I have long since abandoned the idea that he can't handle this or that he's not tough enough.
Yeah, no, you always have faith
that like 3 years and then become this good. To me, he's got it. You can count on him. He's able to handle these situations in this market for a contending team. Like, yeah, if you got to give him 4 or 5 years, fine. The only thing that's kept him from being good was his ACL giving out for no reason,
Right.
So, yeah, and like you said, what other closers coming on the market where it's, well, that's fine. We can let him walk. We'll just we'll just go grab him. There's like Josh Hader's not walking to the market. Mason Miller is still under contract. Like, where are you going to go?
Yeah. Mason Miller still has a few years of team control. Yeah, it's not exactly. There isn't exactly a surplus of relievers on the market. I mean, maybe you could trade for one, but I doubt you're going to find one that has been as good in that environment as Edwin Diaz has. So, I mean, obviously, Steve Cohen has more money than God, but if you could only keep one of Pete or Edwin Diaz, who are you keeping?
See, that's tough because
they're both so valuable to the team in different ways.
But there's also a thing where you think that you can't replace those guys, but you can, because you can find a power hitting outfielder and play him at first, or Ryan Clifford could be that guy. We've heard that. I wouldn't expect him to become Pete right out of the gate or whatsoever, but we've seen where it's like, oh, you can just stick somebody. If you stick a good hitter at first base, like, it doesn't matter what their defense is. Like, we've seen this forever.
Right.
And how many great closers have we seen for anybody, for any team, that were just a really good setup guy for somebody? I mean, Edwin Diaz was a setup guy initially. He didn't come up and they just immediately made him the closer. Like, Edwin Diaz earned his way up the ladder to become a closer. There's any of those guys, whoever you consider the best guys right now, like Josh Hader didn't start off as that. Take your pick. Whoever you think the best guys are, all of them had to earn their way into those roles. So you never know that, the next lights out, game over type closer, he's out there somewhere right now and we just don't know it. And he's on a major league roster. We just haven't found it yet. So it would be crushing in either case. You feel like getting someone like that is replicable. Like, it won't be easy. You can't just snap your fingers and do it, but it can be done. Whereas if you lose a 5-tool center fielder who puts up numbers every year, you don't just go out and grab another one of those. Or, if the Mets were to lose Lindor, you don't just go find another one of those. Like, you saw how long it took between the first iteration of Jose Reyes when he was still good and Lindor. It was a decade. It took them a decade to find someone else who was just as good or better. First base and closer are generally positions it's like you can go find someone like that. You can mold a guy like that. But to me, I almost want to say you would keep Edwin.
Yeah, I think I would agree if you could only keep one.
Because it's so crucial to have that when you get to September and October. And
right.
Again, Edwin has survived so much that if the Mets are fortunate enough to be in this position next year and he has to come in and close a series, I know he can do it. That wouldn't mean I'm not saying, oh, if Pete goes, it's no big deal. But I guess, like, gun to my head, you have to pick one to keep, and that's it. I just think
Diaz is a lot harder to replace than Pete.
He's the one that's finishing the game. He's the one that's supposed to get you those last 3 outs. That is invaluable.
1,000%. I would agree. But I mean, I would expect both of them to be back.
I think the chances are 80% or higher on both.
Yeah, with decent pay increases for both too. But yeah, that pretty much does it for us here this evening. Unless I don't know if you have any final thoughts or final words.
Stay tuned next week. We've got a fun little side project because we like to throw in a couple wrinkles from time to time. Last year we did the Nope season while the postseason was going on. So we don't have that this year, but this was my idea. I always like looking at the history of things and looking back on, hey, did you might have forgot about this. I don't want to spoil it, but we got something fun cooking up next week.
Yeah, we do have something cooking. So definitely stay tuned for that. It'll definitely be postseason themed. Unfortunately, it won't be like it's not going to be the Cancun World Series. We'll leave that to MLB on Facts. But yeah, make sure you if you like what we're doing, be sure to leave us a like, comment, hit the subscribe button. All very easy ways to support us. Show your support without spending any money. Also, make sure you, of course, are subscribed to the Middle Initial Podcast. And if you do want to support the Middle Initial Podcast and our network monetarily, you can donate to the MIPod Venmo, which I believe is at MIPod69 as well. Sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord. It's always popping. There's always fun conversations. sometimes I'm active, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes it's a lot to keep up with. Just depends what I got going on. But it's always a good time. So yeah, fuck Boston, fuck the Blue Jays, fuck the Buffalo Bills, who wished the only football team in New York actually wished the Blue Jays good luck today. So just remember that next time someone tries to tell you the Bills are the only real New York football team. But yeah, I'm Killer Cam. He's Silky Johnson, 20-time Hater of the Year champion, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
See you.